no recording, and we are recording. JC,
I can't believe we're here finally. Gosh. But really, the whole process, how long have we been at this for, Alpa?
Oh my God, JC, you've had a remarkable journey. And first of all, I want to say congratulations. And I'm so inspired by how you've handled yourself in this whole journey and how you have taught me so many things with your gifts and the ability to share what you share and how you share it with such strength, wisdom, and courage. I mean, kudos to you, JC. And so many people have messaged me and emailed me and said, just like I was saying to you just earlier on, that, you know, you and JCK should definitely do a chat. and it's like, you know, it's just all kind of happened organically, all of this. Hasn't it?
I think that's happening to everybody, because I'll tell you what, something I realized in the last few days. I hope you can hear me okay. You know, I mean, we're always learning, right? And this journey for me publicly has occurred very quickly. It's only been maybe 12 weeks.
At the same time.
And you know, that's but the actual spiritual journey, I mean, it's been for decades and decades. Like, I mean, we you know, being psychic and all of that, and I've been in the industry for like 26 years, but that's, you know, and just your whole life culminates into this one point. But what's happening, I've noticed, with this whole ascension process and with everything ramping up, this spiritual journey that everybody seems to be on, this awakening that everybody seems to be on, is everybody's paths seem to be crossing. And there are people that they didn't think they would ever have a public persona, are suddenly being thrust into this work on a public level, and we're kind of all joining up and doing this, and it's all ramping up. And you know, people think that people start to think we're like a production company or something. But it's literally not. You're just propelled by the message, right? You're propelled by, because we're kind of these conduits to the voice of God, I think.
Yes.
Or whatever you want to call it, source, God. And what ends up happening is we've got, you start with one message, and then you get this urge to, you know, I want to talk more about this. You know, you just start doing it, right? And then all these networks start occurring, and then you get on this person's show and that person's show. And for the uninitiated, they seem to think that this is all about fame, etc. But it really is not. This is about, there are certain people that have been put in, that have probably been earmarked from before we were born, to be in the public arena at this point in time, in this great awakening.
Absolutely.
People who never thought they would, like yourself, you come from a financial background, you never thought, and you were just talking earlier about having, you know, a little bit of a nervousness when it comes to public speaking, and here you are in the public arena.
Definitely.
But you know, we are representations of what everyone at home is going through. So we're triggering everybody in one way or another, whether it's through the resonance in our voice, or the way we speak, or what we represent, or the messages that we've got, to deliver a message to everyone to awaken them. I literally believe that. And there will be people who resonate with you and the messages that you give. And there'll be people who resonate with, you know, Charlie Freak, or there'll be people who resonate with Charlie Ward. There'll be people who resonate with me. There'll be people who resonate with Mark Atwood. There'll be people who resonate with Laurie Ladd. There'll be people who resonate, you know, and you're going to have all these different things. And together, I think that we all kind of make a piece of the puzzle, and we, you know, we awaken things in other people. And I think that's what's happening. And it's pretty incredible, and it's happening quickly because it has to happen quickly.
If you think about it, it's happened, like you, it's so relatively new. You came on the scene around about August, pretty much like
end of August.
And my first chat I recall with Charlie was, I think, when I came back from my trip to Italy. So it was around that, I came back on around about the 7th or 8th of August. And again, you know, I've said this many times in previous shows, that I had no idea what I was doing. It's like, I need to speak to Charlie, because, you know, people need to, like, he's brave and he's speaking about this, and I would like to kind of say something. Now, just drawing back on what you said earlier, that I never envisaged myself to do something like this. I was a bag of nerves, and that's just predominantly because I've never considered myself like self-politically astute, and like knowing of what was going out there in the world. I've pretty much been cocooned and sheltered. I stopped watching the news for 10 years.
Me too.
I stopped listening to sort of mainstream music because the frequency would affect me a little bit. So I listened to what we call bhajans, spiritual folk music, Indian folk music that operates on a frequency which used to calm and soothe me. So
Do you know, I actually listen to Indian music. I have
yeah.
this thing with Indian culture. I don't know what it is, but I love.
Well, we were sisters in a previous life. That's
I know, I'm telling you. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I just have this thing. I know I've had many, many past lives in India.
Yeah, well, that's where this urge for me to, like I
Yeah.
said, the universe is going to dictate the timeline for this. And you know, when I came on the scene, I just had no agenda. I didn't know what I was doing really, but this urge to pull to like say, hang on a minute, this is not right. So with not outer standing what was going on in the world, so to speak, but the inner standing journey started 10 years ago, where I was very receptive to energies and people's feelings, and I could sort of almost, my 3D level would sort of would think, oh, you're just so lovely and everybody's so nice. And one of my friends at that time, she used to say, Alpa, you know, you just like bringing in all the strays and everybody's nice and everybody's lovely. But the truth is that I see the good in everyone. However, there was this inner antenna which would start sort of firing up here, saying, we've got this saying in Hindi, is dal mein kuch kala hai, meaning that there's a black seed in this pot of dal, right? There's something not quite right. And this kind of energy would start like making me feel like, what, I wouldn't connect. I would be in such two disparities where I wouldn't really understand this. Anyway, look at me now. I'm here and I'm speaking on this public platform. I really liked your am I too much of a woman? Yeah, I thought that was really, really nice. And that's going to resonate with so many women, because what the beauty about these shows, or discussions as I prefer to call them, because you know, I like to have this authentic feel about it, is that we don't have manicured shows. So if we slip up, we say something wrong, or we, like in your show, you said, I may get a date wrong, or I may say something, I may F up about this, that, or the other.
You know, and I won't handle something correctly, like I might lose my temper, and that's you know, that's something that's unheard of in the spiritual realm. I mean, people seem to believe that we have to act like gurus and we're, you know, we're perfect and divine, and if we're giving spiritual knowledge, and that's not true. We're human, we're innately human, and we have to, and not only that, we are mirrors, you know, we're mirrors in a public platform to the people. And I think if you're too perfect and too refined, it's not going to work. You're not going to be the person that they resonate with. And so I'm going to get it wrong, and I'm going to lose my temper, and you know, and it's half joking, you know, when I lose my temper on camera. I mean, it's kind of a gag, you know. I'll kind of do it just as a oh, come on, you know, hurry up, you know, sort of, and that sort of sarcastic you know, impatient sort of personality. But that's,
I love it. It's you. It's raw. Your authentic self. Yeah.
And that rawness. So this is what I want to try and say to people, is that rawness, that is what delivers the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you are speaking truth, and why it resonates is because those layers of programming and indoctrination that a lot of us, and you said you had this thing where you just naturally could see people, the beautiful part of them, and yet there was this antenna that was kind of going, hang on a minute, that's not a nice person, or whatever. And it kind of, there was a conflict there. And why was there a conflict there? Because you were known as nice Alpa, right? You were known as beautiful, loving Alpa. And
misunderstood, though, very misunderstood.
Yeah. But in order for you to see the bad in others, that kind of caused you a bit of like discomfort, because that's probably not something that, you know, is probably, I'm just saying intuitively. I mean, were you brought up to be the nice girl and not say anything bad about people?
I think within the Asian culture, we're not really taught to, and I'm not speaking for everyone, like, you know, it's very much a sweeping under the carpet, which brings me on to the subject where I'm struggling. No, I'm not going to use like a victim word with that, because I'm not struggling. I'm doing very fine. But I sometimes am riddled with like confusion as to why there's so much silence within the Asian community about these things that are going on in the world at the moment, especially to do with the children.
I will tell you why.
And this is because we have a habit, or it's just in our nature to sweep things under the carpet. And if you voice things, there's all the shame, there's the social sort of cultural reasons, and it's really boils down to one simple thing: what will people think, whether people admit it or not? And that's not just within Asian communities. I mean, I love my culture.
No, it's in my culture too. Yeah.
But it's the shaming and the demonizing of individuals that actually speak up and say the truth. So I've had some really horrific things said to me, and the worst comments that I've had have not come from like any non-Asian people. All the 8 or 10, I think it was about, I don't count the other 2, but there's been 8 messages that I've had that were really horrible, like really, really bad. And they've all been either from Indian or Pakistani people towards me. And
that's because so what they see in you that they are criticizing is themselves.
Of course, don't like it. Absolutely. I mean, it's projection all the way. And it's a fear, and they're so hell-bent on their views, their vision, and their programming. And this is all the paradigms, the constructs of Cabal programming. And they're so hooked in that narrative and so far removed from the essence of our spirituality, home to spirituality, the esoteric realm in India, where
it's taken over. Exactly. It's taken over the spirituality, the innate spirituality of the Indian culture, no matter what your religion is. So that's what I was talking about, was that let's not forget, India is an empire of England, was an empire. Do you understand? So it's going to have that.
That's exactly
stiff upper lip behavior as well, and that whole status, keeping everything in a particular status quo. You've got to do all of that. It's
desensitized us.
It's so stifling, in many ways, because you are such a spiritual culture, because there is such deep, incredible spiritual people there, and the actual land itself is spiritual, is highly, it's the vibration of the land there is amazing.
But it is.
This is all indoctrination, and making sure that your child goes to a good school and all of that, that status thing. I mean, this is part of my culture too, being Lebanese, they've got the same thing. Religion keeps people in line. Community keeps people in line and keeps them indoctrinated. Peer pressure, community pressure, this is what keeps everybody in line and keeps us all behaving in a certain way. But what I wanted to say about truth and rawness and accessing information or intuition from source, it requires you to do something that is very vulnerable. It requires you to act in a very vulnerable way.
And
it requires you to be completely raw and open and accessible, and to shed those layers of expectation and obligation to other people. And I was talking about this today in an interview I did, and that because indoctrination and these constructs that we've had around us creates a lot of it creates pressure in ourselves, and it creates kind of programming that restricts us from accessing that source energy, or that access to truth. So when you finally release and you stop worrying about what people think, and you let go and you act as raw as you can be, that's the truth.
And it's very liberating,
and that's what people resonate with, and they will see if they can access truth for themselves, or if they're kind of in touch, even they will see the truth in you and resonate with it. Those who are completely blocked and very dark, and I'm convinced that there are so many people who are they almost have entities attached to them that are quite dark, that speak through them, right? And they're the ones that see the dark in the good. They're the ones who accuse you of being a witch, or accuse you of being, you're trying to seduce people. I mean, I got lots of things like, oh, I see what you're about. You're just trying to seduce people because you just want an ego boost. It's like, what? Oh, because you got red lipstick on.
I know, you were saying this to me the other day.
And it's just like this. It's like,
but let's look at
programming.
Let's look at that point that you said about the red lipstick and that experience that you had, that episode. What does that tell us? Let's get the viewers to get thinking here. Yeah, this criticism, this what I call ju, she's this, she's that, this, you know, and it's so immature, one, but it's, look, whatever's on the inside, you're going to project outside. So I look at this as that everyone is nice. And now I think, you know, to that friend 13, 14 years ago, I want to say, well, what I have inside is nice. I prefer to see the good, the beauty in you. And I see you, and I'm just like, JC and I were definitely sisters in a past life. She was the more of the sort of confident one and like pushing me to like speak up. I'm sure there was this past life connection. But all of that criticism, that conceit, that contempt, or look at that lipstick, or look at the hair, and look at this. It's the indoctrination of this social media culture that gets us to look towards perfection because of these fancy pictures that everyone's putting on, and we're not taught to be authentic. We're taught the fakery of this world, if that makes sense. So, you know, my niece asked me, Alpa, what is your, she calls me Fifi, sorry, it doesn't call me Alpa. She goes, Fifi, what is your superpower? And I've said this in another show, that I think it's authenticity. Authenticity is my superpower, because actually, you know what, I may see the flaws, I may get this inner like heebie-jeebies when I meet someone, but I still see that good within you, and then they end up showing themselves up to me. So this little criticism over little things, is that, where is that like lack of satisfaction in their life, or, you know, to just go out and criticize? If you don't like something about someone, you've got a choice. You can just walk away. You don't have to permeate that negative energy within yourself, because guess what, if you are saying negative things about other people, it's just negative energy that you're creating for yourself, right? And it takes guts to do what we're doing, to be ridiculed, or at the what's the word I'm looking for, but to be subject to being ridiculed on this public arena, this platform, where we are actually defending a man that is the world's most hated man. And we've stepped outside of that in our truth and conviction. And what you said, and I love this, and I listened to it again today, the one about the children, JC, that got me. And, you know, do you realize that, like, everyone, it got like over 130 or 139,000 views, and I urge everyone to listen to that again.
I think it got more views than that, because I'm actually being shadow banned, and it was shared everywhere, but they stopped, YouTube stopped the number count. Okay, so I think that it actually reached more people than
I think it probably would have got millions, right?
I think so.
But you look at what you were talking about, and I really want to say something about that, because for me, that's where my journey started, like a lot of people like yourself. And, you know, it was this horror, and irrespective of the ridicule I was getting, it's like, well, well-meaning folks would sort of say, Alpa, I still don't agree with you, but hey, you go ahead and have your journey, and we respect you for what you say. However, the ridicule that we've got about sharing this truth and aligning with Trump has been horrible, right? But I don't want to focus on that. It's actually trying to get even people who are watching, because they're all watching you. They all watch you, right? They do watch you, right? It's what possible motivation would we have to just go out one day, wake up and be like, right, we love Trump and save the children, right? So in that video, I think I started picturing that conversation you were having. It was so like, it was the energy was absorbing for me. It's almost like I was going into that journey with you. I can't explain it, JC. I was really
I think that's why it resonated so much with people. It really took them on a journey that they did not expect to see. And you know, it started with Charlie Freak, that one, actually. So if people don't know what we're talking about, one of the first video that I put out. So I'll just say this really quickly for people that don't know, or might be watching, that are on your channel, that don't know who I am.
I'm going to put that link up as well.
So I'm an artist and a psychic, and I you know, I've been doing this for years. You know, I'm a lot older than I look. I've been doing this for at least 26 years, you know, in a professional way. And I was one of those people on social media, Facebook, that was trying to wake people up, right? And I was always outspoken, no matter what it was, for years and years and years. I've always outspoken on social media, trying to share injustice with people. And it started to, during this COVID situation, it just started to occur to me that all my friends were disappearing and none of them were paying attention to my posts at all.
Yeah.
I was losing friends.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what was going on. I said, hang on, all these people that used to interact with me and just not listening. And I'm trying to get people to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
People were dropping like flies and they were blocking me. They were actually, some of them were messaging me and saying, I'm going to block you. I can't take what you're sharing. I don't want to know about it.
Why do you, where
like,
is this? Yeah, this is the pattern.
It's really strange. And I said, how could you not want to know about children who were being abused? And they'll go, but are they though? Are they?
That's the shocking part. That is the shocking part. Like,
how could you? Yeah. I mean, I had someone close to me when I was saying, you know, I said something about, they're all pedophiles, like all the people in the UN are pedophiles. How could you even think that that's okay? And then I said, is that all you ever talk about? You know, there's more important things than pedophilia.
What, like the Kardashians?
I could not believe that person said this. They said, you do realize there's more important things going on in the world than pedophilia. And I just was,
can I ask you, was this person a parent?
Yeah.
All right. So this person who said that to you is a parent, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, the same sort of thing
I've got
with this is the same sort of thing I've had from so-called friends that actually mock me, saying, oh yeah, Alpa's saving one pedo at a time.
Yes, really? That's the kind of stuff I'd get. It's like, oh, so what are you doing?
Nature.
What are you doing? But, you know, what are you doing? He said, well, how are you saving the children? This is what I'd get. So I got sick of that. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to start my own Facebook page and share all these things that I want to do, right? I want to say. And I had gone on Charlie Freak's page at the time, and Charlie Freak and I were chatting. Like he actually used to chat to me. Like
yeah,
he used to
great. I love Charlie.
But this was back before, you know, I had my own thing. But he would send me a message and say, I really like what you shared. You know, you're on the right track or whatever. So we were sort of resonating.
And he's great. Like
out of all those thousands of people, like he could see that there was something in the posts I was sharing that was good.
But he
I was trying to share.
Also see he can also like, you know, that energy.
And so he knows that he knows that I was psychic and everything. And so I would share things on his page, and there was one post I shared on his page that went viral, and so that was kind of like this testing ground, because a lot of people responded to that, and I got this massive, it was almost like this very small scale attention. You know, it got shared thousands of times, this post that I wrote, but I got all this attention in one day, and it was really overwhelming. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, everyone was messaging me and going, I love what you said, you changed my life, blah, blah, blah. This is just this one post on Charlie's thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I was befriending strangers, and then I was getting criticism from friends and family going, why are you adding people that you don't know on your Facebook? And I was like, no, these are good people, because I know they like Trump, and they're good. They know they're my people, you know? So I was like just adding these strangers, and I'm like, okay, I've got this tribe. I've got this tribe of people with like you that got, like, you know, I knew like they were
all from America, mine. I
know, and I had all these new people in my Facebook group, and they were the only people interacting with my posts. And I thought, right, this is my new tribe of people.
Yeah, true.
So I said, I'm going to make this new page. So I made this new page, and I met one of the people I met who was liking my post that I added as a friend was a guy living in Queensland. And him and I said, I was telling him, I said, I'm going to start a page. He said, oh, I'll start it with you. I'll be your admin. And I said, okay. And so he had information he wanted to share, and I did too. And he was telling me about the underground, the DUMs in Australia. And he said, you know, I've mapped this all out because there's explosions. And if you can actually map it out. It's actually a tunnel system. So he showed me this map. And I said, that's amazing. I said, you know what? I want to do I want to tap into that psychically and see what I can get. And he said, do you reckon you can do it? I said, well, Charlie Freak did it in a meditation. No, I think I can do it.
Yeah.
And so I did. And that was the first video that I put up. Now, that video was not supposed to be public. It was supposed to be for the very small amount of people that I had in this group, that I had just added people that I knew.
Yeah.
And Saul added the people that he knew. So it was really, you know, I thought maybe we'll get 300
divine
people.
intervention, JC. This
I
was
thought,
divine intervention.
yeah. Well, it was, because I got a message in one of my meditations from, I had a, I'll say on the astral, somebody visited me that was very important. I call it a VIP. And they told me, you need to put these videos up. You need to make these into videos, these visions. You're tapping into things that no one else knows. They need to be made public, and you need to make your Facebook group that you said you're going to make and put them up on your Facebook group. It's going to go viral. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And then they said, you'll be looked after. This is a journey. You're meant to do this. You're meant to do this public work. And I was just like, yeah, that's just my imagination. I was thinking, yeah, as if that's true. They said, we'll get in contact with you. And this is in meditation, but it was like a visitation. Okay. And it was like on the astral. And it was so vivid. Like I saw them there as though they were in the room with me. And they said, so I'm thinking, I was telling, you know, my admin, I was going, oh God, you're going to see what I saw under the ground. Oh my God, it's going to blow your mind. I saw demons. I was like, it's real. And I was like, and he said, okay. He said, just do it. Just write it down. Do something. Do a post. Hurry up and get it up there. We've got to start this page. And I said, okay. And I thought, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to type all this stuff out. And I still want to type it. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'll do it like this person said in my meditation. I will make a video and I'll just put it up on Facebook. Right. So I did this really stupid, I just held my phone in front of my face. I had to write these notes down of what I saw so I couldn't forget. And, you know, it was about a week after I'd done the meditation, this remote viewing type meditation. And it was quite a long thing. I mean, I went on journeys that I didn't expect. I didn't just go underground. I went to the Vatican. I went under Uluru, which is a very, very sacred landmass in the, not landmass, like a rock in Australia, a huge rock. Wow. That has a very, very important, significant thing to do with the prophecy on the 21st of December 2020. It's got to do with ascension and this kind of like, I guess, the saving of the planet.
Yeah.
But you know, and I did not know anything about this. Okay, so that all came to, this is all in the same vision. And I did some journeying, remote viewing on some political situations in Victoria, in Melbourne. So
can I ask you a quick question about that? You know, so this is the synchronicity of timings when you must have, because it was the end of August when you published that video, I think, right? Yeah, and at that time, and I can't be accurate on the date.
Oh no, it wasn't. It was September. Sorry, I started my Facebook group on the 30th of August. It was Quantum Truths at the time.
Yeah, early September.
In the vision, the person who came to me, he said, you need to call it this. You need to call it Quantum Truths, the Great Awakening and Beyond. And I said, okay,
so
I'll call it that.
This port of, so basically around that same time you were speaking about these tunnels in Melbourne and in Australia. Simultaneously, it was that time, because that's when I also heard about you, and I'm just casting my mind back to it. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is there was an article that I had shared about children have been rescued from the port of Melbourne by a publication called Breitbart. And which is Breitbart, sorry, yeah. I mean, Trump sort of forwards a lot of their articles. So the New Age, you know, New Age journalism and the new publications. So I put that up and I was just horrified. And it was like children that had been rescued from the port of Melbourne. A BBC journalist who is a friend, or was a friend, had the this was just really shocking. Instead of actually reading what I'd posted, which is similar to what you were saying about how you completely dismissed these things about the children, I wrote when I forwarded this message saying, I just find it really, I don't get it. I do not get it that when we had a movement like Black Lives Matter for a guy who got killed unnecessarily, and I don't condone what's happened to him, but if we look at his background and everything, you know, and what he stood for, people were making memorials out of him. So I said, I don't get it, that if you had the ability and the compassion to go out there and campaign and Black Lives Matter and, you know, George Floyd, and like big money donations that were spent in his name. I'm screaming about children who have been raped, who've been tortured, who've been abused. And I was just trying to compare this, and I was gunned down by this journalist to say, what nonsense are you spreading? This is very dangerous, right? And there are people, I can't remember the name, who he said as such, so and so, that are doing work. Let them get on with this. Yeah, let them get on with the works, because, you know, such as the Prince's Trust. So what nonsense? What's
irony?
The irony. And
Yeah.
this obviously works BBC. There's that arrogance, that pseudo arrogance about, look at where we're at. But going back to this, the Port of Melbourne and the children that were actually rescued, I think it ties in with what you were saying. And for me, that was like, I knew it, you know. This Australia was
people
really,
like, people were getting validated. So this vision was, you know, it would have just been a thing that I shared amongst my friends if it wasn't for this message that I got in the meditation, or the remote viewing, whatever you want to call it. I call it a journeying. But that astral plane where I was, where I got a visitation, you know, if it wasn't for that kind of propelling me, and then the repeating of that story to my friends, you know, my best friend, I was telling her the next day what happened, and she's just like, this is intense, this is crazy, this is amazing. And I said, I've got to do it. I've just got this urge. And that's the thing, is this, there was this, and I, you know, I didn't at the time know it, but when the story touched so many people, and there's so many synchronicities as to who I ended up meeting as a result of this and putting this out there, and how I started my group, and the posts that I put on my group, and how, and what that ended up creating. My the people that it touched who reached out to me ended up then telling me the impact that this video had, and just that in itself was very important, because I always sort of, the reason why I put that out there was not to be famous. It was to share a message and a very important vision that I saw, that I felt was so real.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of vulnerability on my part, and strength. And a lot of people kept saying, you're brave, and I didn't understand it at the time, but I'm starting to realize it now. People kept saying, you're so brave, you're so brave. I'm like, why am I so brave? To me, this is no big deal. You know, speaking out and being honest and being blunt is not a big deal. But apparently it is a big deal for a lot of people, because they are
definitely,
silenced, you know?
Yeah, definitely, because it is a sensitive subject, and actually going there, even if it wasn't within the remote way that you described, that can't have been easy. Yeah,
No, it wasn't.
And that
And
means
I still to this day haven't told everybody the stuff that I saw or described it, because it is quite
horrific.
It's horrific.
And
it's horrific. And you know, I spared the details for a lot of people, but I gave them a taste of what I saw. And I know this to be true. And I think that people could see, because it was just so immediate. Like, I thought, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this video. And I started talking. I didn't take, it was the first take. I started talking.
Sorry, Kenzo wants to get involved.
I started talking, and you know, and I was so, what people told me afterwards is like, the camera's right in my face. I'm looking, you know, they could see my eyes. They could see I'm not lying, that whatever it is that I'm saying, I believe it to be true. The way I was describing it was, they knew that I had experienced something.
Yeah.
And that it took a lot of guts to say that. So all these things, along with what, so, you know, since then, certain people have said to me that you know that God was talking through you.
Yes, I was just going to say that, you know.
And at the time I didn't accept it. And so the first person who told me that was actually Mark Atwood.
Yeah.
And I just was like, are you kidding? He said, no, I'm telling you, God spoke through you. And I was like, okay. And now as time goes on, I realize, okay, this is what's happening with all these people that are out there that are speaking truth, is that
God
they are, there is this, it's the right kind of people with the right kind of voice and the right kind of moment and the right kind of experiences that are the vessels for source, because we have God
100%.
in us.
100%,
Like
JC.
all of us have God in us, every single one of us. And the thing that's blocking you is the indoctrination of the deep state. Okay. That is the thing that's blocking you. So when we say, and when I say, and I repeat it over and over again, stop watching the news, stop watching the television, stop listening to these old stories that you've been told. You've got a BBC reporter you talk about. Well, of course they're not going to agree with you, Alpa, because even something as horrific as child trafficking and abuse and slavery, etc., even something as horrific as that, and they can't see it, it shows you how indoctrinated their own medium is. Their entire worldview is controlled by the deep state.
Yeah. But
Okay,
I use that as a
it is a
catalyst, though.
spell. It is a spell.
Absolutely. And this sort of behavior and these type of incidences have been a catalyst for me and further motivated me.
Absolutely. And that contrast is important. So that contrast, these people are perfect. Okay. So this is the video that I put out the other day. It was the shortest video. Everything is as it should be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Because the contrast and the people who are not waking up are the perfect contrast and the instigators for us to then continue to declare, I don't agree with you. And therefore I'm going to keep speaking up. So we need that push-pull, we need that duality in order to further awaken ourselves.
Absolutely, because we're dealing with those, because we have that within as well, where we kind of are rejecting ourselves within our shadow work that we have to do, and the duality of the darkness within ourselves. So if we cannot see the darkness within ourselves, so even when I was looking at that situation from a slightly egotistical mind initially, because I got angry. Anger is ego. Yeah. And I was like, okay,
well, not necessarily, you know, anger, all emotion is, all emotion is very important. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that, you know, your emotion is actually, people are scared and have been told that there's certain emotions you shouldn't express, and that's not true. And anger is actually quite motivating, and it allows you to define boundaries.
Yeah.
And it allows you to express, you know, immediate, you know, sort of dissatisfaction. There's a positive and negative to anger. And so, you know, being angry and not liking something or reacting is okay. It's just us working out our shit. It's fine. All of that's fine. I think that people beat themselves up too much about being angry, and that's okay. You know,
and I do, and I'm guilty of that sometimes as well. However, anger can be conducive, like you said. So for me, I kind of walked away from that situation, as I do with a few things, not because I'm not dealing with it. It's just that, does it deserve that energy? But that anger or that sort of energy that makes me feel, so I'm going to even scream louder, because I am so convicted, like convinced in this truth of mine. And fair enough, fair enough, people are entitled to their own opinions or their own views. However, I think we've got to a place now, wouldn't you agree, in the energies of the planet, where there's going to be no running from this truth.
No, you can't. There's nothing will stop it. Do you know,
what do you think is going to happen when Trump gets inaugurated? Like, and how do you think, this is a question I've wanted to ask you. You've tapped into this, that we know from all the research, you know, intuitively and spiritually and psychically.
I knew back in April that he would win this election. So I had a whole massive download about what was happening. It's all playing out as it is right now. So I had a massive download back in April. And that was, you know, and I can't prove this to people because where I had it written down was in Facebook, and all my accounts got shut down by Facebook. So I've been censored. I've been heavily censored.
You're a legend.
A lot of people don't realize, you know, that people who don't follow me probably don't know this. Like I've been, I have a Facebook group now. So my first Facebook group grew within 3 weeks to 17,000 people, which is something I didn't mention in your thing. And listen, I'm mentioning numbers not because I'm trying to show off.
I know that, you know.
you know,
it's in
people need to
context.
stop that. We're talking about numbers because it gives you an idea of the impact that
Absolutely.
the message is given, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the resonating with thing. So 17,000 hit 17,000, and I had a nap. I woke up. I was like, huh, what's wrong with what's going on? And then I contacted my admin, and he said my Facebook's gone. He was shut off, so we both were. Our whole group got shut down. So we took a day off. People were scrambling. Oops, sorry, my camera went a bit funny. Hello, what's going on? People were scrambling because the group was so popular, and you know, it was creating a community and things like that. They got shut down. My Facebook pages got shut down. My accounts got shut down. So I had 3 accounts. I had Instagram got shut down, and I had nothing. There was nothing political on that, and that got shut down.
Yeah, so that's the same thing that happened with my Instagram. I didn't have anything on there, and
I didn't have anything on there, and
personal pictures, all my nice photos and quotes. I love a quote.
Yes, all of those things got shut down. So what was I saying about Facebook? So yeah, I had this prediction back in April, and so when you get shut down, which is what I was trying to explain, is when you get shut down on Facebook and your profiles get shut down, all evidence of you is gone, right? So any posts you would have put in groups, they would have been gone and taken down. So I don't have proof of that this date. But I have I wrote this whole thing that I had downloaded one morning. And the thing about Trump, so I predicted that Trump would, so this was the message that I got in the morning as I was waking up, was that Trump would win in a landslide, that there would be protests, and these would be
oh yes, I remember this.
These would be orchestrated protests. So I did share it again in the group. But it's an old prediction. It's an old prediction in from like April. That
hold that thought 1 second, JC. Just hold that thought 1 second. Just 1 second. Come here, I can hear you. He wants to say hello. He wants to say hello.
Hello, gorgeous. Look at this beautiful baby. Oh my God.
He's just gorgeous. I could just tell, right? When he wanted to come and say hello.
Oh, he matches your beautiful baby blue shirt very well.
So carry on. So you had this, I'll just keep it on the
bed. So there would be protests, and so what I saw, let me try and describe it. So I saw him winning in a landslide, but that there was arguments as to the winning, like, so there was the way it was presented to me back in April was that I saw Nancy Pelosi's face. I remember seeing that, and I remember seeing arguing on television or debating as to the true results of the election, and as a result there was protesting in the street, a la the Pussy Hats thing, you know, that whole thing, right? So but there was also orchestrated protests, and I was shown it was almost like false flag type stuff. I was also when I tapped into it later, I did get certain states I felt where it would erupt more than others, and they seem to be these places like where the BLM sort of stuff was happening, you know, Oregon, California, I think I said Pennsylvania, Nevada maybe, so there was other places as well, I can't really remember, but I did see pockets of these protests. I did see that this would continue into after inauguration, because I did see there was still disruptions going into next year. So that takes us to this prediction of, you know, people seem to think that when 21st of December hits that everything's going to be perfect. And I really don't think that's the case. I feel like that's the swinging of the pendulum in the other direction, going into a good cycle. However, we still have to transmute a lot of this negative stuff. So what's going to happen after Trump gets inaugurated? We're going to have like a lot of trials. I did see trials.
My question was,
sorry,
JC, sorry to interrupt, just hold that thought there. It's that, you know, right now, the sort of naysayers and the ones that are quite happy that we've been proved wrong because of, you know, what media is portraying about Trump's humiliation, as the one article said in the BBC yesterday and Telegraph, whatever.
Are they're still going on about it, are they?
Yeah,
I don't
no,
really
that
watch
Trump
them.
has conceded,
Wow.
and this whole cracking stuff, and everything that Sydney Palace. It's just going over people's head that I'm
They
noticing.
don't understand it.
So there's like, and on the back of him allegedly conceding, I got a lot of messages saying, "So seriously, Alpha, when are you going to give this? When are you going to give this up?" Right. So
Yeah.
there's going to be a big smack in the face for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I'd like to think a real big set. So my question really was pertinent to this disparity between humanity at the moment, where we are within the collective of the awakened or truthers, and I say that with a humble approach. Yeah, and respect that, and not that we're better or worse, because these people that are very sort of indoctrinated and in the constructs of the cabal, they're the ones that are going to go like at that rude awakening, especially if they've been in denial and been the most resistant. Yeah, like you're crazy, and I got a barrage of that. What do you see energetically, and also at grassroots level? How do you see this kind of all happening? Like, how do you see this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Because so what I did see was this really, I did see even after January, which would be around the inauguration, this like, no, this like section of the community going, no, this isn't real, this isn't true, and still protests moving forward. There was still this disruption or kerfuffle going on for a couple of months into next year, of like, they're not accepting it, then they're just not accepting it. However, I feel that for those who can see, I feel that the mainstream media there's just going to be so many articles or stories that are just not going to make sense to a lot of people. And a lot more people are going to start questioning, hang on a minute, this isn't accurate, or this isn't true. Actually, sorry, as I'm talking, I'm getting more information, so just give me a second, okay? Because things are changing all the time. So there is a general feeling of what happens, and then there's details that sort of take place as the timeline is playing out.
That's what I wanted.
So we're constructing it as we're going along, and that's what people need to understand. That's why we're so hell-bent on explaining to people that there is a positive future, and you need to focus on that positive future, because if you don't, you're all fucked. Okay, so that's basically the attitude you've got to have, right? So okay, so in the revealing of voter fraud, which is happening right now, okay? So in the revealing of that, a lot of mainstream news players are going to be taken down as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is not going to be a quick thing. So that's going to play out for several months. You'll have a president in place, or you'll have him in place for a little while. I really need to tap into this again, because the feeling I got, and I said this on Charlie Ward's show, was that I had a vision of President Trump, and I need to see if this is still taking place around that time. It was the end of February, start of March, and he was getting up and saying that he is going to have to step down. That to me said that this was because Nasara was going to take place, okay? Because he has to announce that he's going to step down 120 days before Nasara is announced. And Nasara is a national economic securities Reformation Act. So I did see that. However, I do still see him in public office after that date. So this is kind of interesting as to what's actually taking place there. There's lots of different things.
We were at that 120 days, weren't we, after this whole thing with Nasara? So that could coincide with that. And also when you
Yeah.
said the media takedown, well, the executive order of 2018 that stipulates that it gives him the power and the authority to seize all assets of persons and personnel who have been involved in the false propaganda of what they're doing, basically. So this
this is all orchestrated. So all of this is, and this is what people don't, the people that believe the mainstream are never going to look at this information. They're not going to look at the executive orders. They're not going to look at this in that kind of context. They're not going to dive deep and analyze this information. All they're going to do is look at what, you know, the BBC tells them, etc., and take that on board and go, yes, that fits in with my political beliefs, and yes, I believe that. That's a good newspaper to listen to, and I'm just going to take that. And the thing is we're thinking outside the box, and we're gathering data and evidence, and we're sort of, you know, piecing this together. What I'm doing is I steer away from the news, full stop. I just don't look at it, because I need to look at it. I need to feel my way through things on a completely intuitive level. And I see it more as energy. And then afterwards I can kind of describe it as, you know, in the context of what may be happening in the world. So my general feeling is that there is going to be a real, that the last frontier is the takedown of the mainstream media. We're going to see a lot of heads roll. We're going to see a lot of chaos in regards to that. But there is this general feeling, and I've picked up on this so many times, and it's not going away, this feeling is not going away, that around March, end of March, so March 21st or March 22nd, there is this shift, and it's this positive shift. It is between March and July, this massive change, this transformation, and it's coming out of this darkness that the next few months is going to be. I did have a dream one day. It was as I was waking up, I saw in my head military. They were all in front of computers, and it was the 21st of February 2021, and they were cheering and going, we won, we did it, we did it, we did it, we won. And then I heard in my head, Armistice Day. So really, I mean, we're at war, right? And so around this end of February business, which is also what I saw, there is this energy that I'm picking up on, that is this, we've still got to get through this darkness, this dark period. And then there's this ascension into a better period of time. However, having said that, the entire planet is not suddenly going to be positive.
No,
we've
not.
Still got people
fighting with masks.
We've still got people resonating at a different frequency than others. Okay. It's all frequency. So there's some people who have a frequency that is a lot lower, that they're still caught in this indoctrinated state. They're not going to get out of that. They've been coddled, mollycoddled and held for their entire life, for generations, being told what to think, what to feel, what to believe in. And they've never stepped out of that. They've never, ever stepped out of that. And to step out of that would be shattering to their entire existence. They won't know who they are.
I see this happening around me to people that I know, and
they won't let go of it. They won't let go of those
cognitive dissonance comes into it. And something that you see in reference to your timelines, JC, I think I hear you on that, because I'm not sure where I get these downloads from. So, like, you know, I'm not a psychic or anything, but I have these inner sort of intuitive epiphanies, should I say. And I said this in one of my shows, I think, that I see March, because March, I think, is going to be where the reveal of not just the mainstream media, but they've started with the mainstream media, but this is when we're going to start hearing about the celebrities in, like, more and more and more around March. Because let's think
that's
about
already happened. See, so did you know about my one about the place in Cuba? I don't want to say it because it's can get you banned. You know, Gmo Bay.
Yeah.
Did you know about my video with that? It went viral.
Okay.
All right. So,
you know, I don't get any of your notifications, right?
That's quite normal. It's quite normal. I'm shadow banned. No, this was back in start of October, I did a big video, went really, a lot of people went nuts for it. It was all encoded.
Okay.
And I did some remote viewing on what was happening in GMO Bay, and I can tell you now, it's all taken place already.
No, yeah, they have. They're already
It's all
there.
taken place already.
They're already there.
There
That's
was a
it.
code,
It's public awareness.
and back then I had said something about the seals being broken. And a few weeks later, we hear the story about the Team SEAL 6, you know, the Navy SEALs who got destroyed. So there's a lot of encoding in that I said, that I almost channeled, and from the visions that I had in the remote viewing. And it revealed like who, and I know who it is. I know who the people are who've been executed, and I know the people who I've seen who are there, the celebrities, etc. So things take place already, and then they reveal them. So when they reveal them,
Yeah.
they'll say to you, oh, this just broke, news just broke, blah, blah, blah. But
It's
it would
already
have happened
happened.
6 months before. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
It's
would
like
have already.
Weinstein, yeah, and Epstein's case.
So like that thing with Obama and Hillary being involved in this, the killing of these Navy SEALs, you know, ordering their deaths and things like that. I mean, that in itself is treason. I mean, that in itself is enough to get them executed. And I'm not sure if the mainstream media touched that story.
No,
Did they?
of course not. No, of course not. No. Well, I wouldn't really know, but
yeah, exactly. But that story there is that the reason why that was dropped. Okay, so the guy that was the whistleblower that dropped that, the fact that that was dropped, and it was dropped on this date that I had mentioned in the Guantanamo Bay video.
Yeah.
They were only allowed to reveal it to the public because it had already happened.
Right.
Okay. So meaning that the people involved that they mentioned were already arrested.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is the, I mean,
I understand.
Yeah. And I think I'm not sure if I've read this or again a download, but the arrests have happened a long time ago, like in 2017. How many sealed indictments do you think there were? Like, I mean, it's hit the 400,000 plus mark, but I think now I've heard new numbers going over 550,000 sealed indictments.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
Insane.
I know. I mean, you know, look, this team of white hats or alliance, whatever you want to call them, they are doing everything to the letter, crossing T's, dotting I's.
It's everything so meticulous.
Legal. Everything is legal. They are putting everything in place so this never happens again.
Yeah.
They have to do this on so many multiple levels. That is definitely something that I picked up on, was that this is not just a military operation. This is not just a political operation. This is not just a legal operation. This is, you're talking about the takedown of a cabal that ruled this planet for thousands of years, and not just on a physical level, on a metaphysical level.
Yeah.
So you're talking about entities that were ruling the world for thousands of years that they need to take down.
Yeah.
Do you understand? In order for this to never happen again. And are we going to have peace on earth? Yes, we will have peace on earth. However, we're still going through that journey, and people are going, when are these arrests happening? Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. Like, they're going to tell you about it? They're going to tell you about it? Really? They're not going to tell you about it. Okay. And they're not going to tell you about it on the evening news.
No.
So you're going to have to get that through your head.
Yeah. The public disclosure.
And the satisfaction, you know, that people are going to have. And this notion of I'll believe it when I see it is part of the left brain, and it's part of the reason why you are still stuck in the 3D, and why you are not allowing that truth to come through you. The truth will not come through you when you are requiring physical 3D evidence to only be presented to you before you believe it. You're going to have to feel it and know it. And you can use your research, and you can use discernment through this research, but all of that discernment, etc., it all comes through the right brain. Okay. It comes through this gut instinct and this knowing, and this truth is believing. It's not just fanciful wishful thinking. It really does come. And the people in this high consciousness truther community, the people who do speak the truth, and you know, and there's corrupted people there. I'm telling you, I know them, I can see them. I can see the dark working through people as though they are the light. They're
Yeah.
not the light.
I can 100%
Okay. But the ones that you can feel in your gut are doing the good work.
Yeah.
The ones that you write me an email about and say, I know them to be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Those people have this ability to channel the truth from God, okay, from source energy, and to present it to you. And you are not, you all have access to that information. Yeah. Everybody has access to this information. You've got to however, you've got to let go and let God.
Yeah.
You've got to let go.
100%.
You've got to release all of those old stories you tell yourself, those old obligations, those old belief systems, that questioning of why, when. All of that destroys that pure message.
Yeah.
And something I sort of vocalized today, I did an interview with an old voice teacher of mine from university, and we're talking about metaphysical things because she works in that way, and metaphysical things. We're talking about the voice and how it's important to speak up. And there's something that it's sort of like I got a download as she was speaking, and I said, we have this, we're a vessel, us in the truther community, we're a vessel for this information, okay, of truth. And we're giving this information to you, and I speak for myself. I am channeling and feeling this gut instinct of this thing that is good and that is coming. And I'm presenting it to you, and it can be in a comical way, and it can be in a joking way, but it still resonates, right? And people are going, yeah, I believe it. Actually, yeah, that makes sense. You're making sense. And they're feeling it, and then they're getting this beautiful pure source energy, this information from God, from all that is. And then they go, when? Yeah, right? And then that question, the when, cuts that potential. It destroys the potential of that happening. When you ask, when is it going to happen? It cuts the potential for that. Do you understand how that works?
Yeah.
Because you have to be in the flow to understand and know this knowledge and have this knowledge and accept it and believe it. Do you understand how that works?
Yeah, because you're releasing the attachment to the outcome, right? And that's exactly like what we say in the Gita, that you release all attachment. You can be attached to things in a detached way. And one of the things I'd like to add to what you said so nicely, and see that this is why I love you. You just like mesmerize me, and I'm like, wow, which is great. But I can feel that, because that truth that you're speaking, you just go off onto kind of an energy that that's really going to be permeating to people through the screens, and I really hear you, JC, so thank you for that. And this thing was where people are so attached to the outcome, i.e. in terms of time. We're all guilty of it, myself included. But and I think I get very it's in the at grassroots level where the frustrations happen, and you kind of go into the left brain yourself, so I always have to check myself regularly,
I do too.
Regularly, where I'm like, okay, I'll go back into the synthesis and the synchronicity of the inner gnosis that you have, that you've been blessed with from a young age, myself, but you've just reverted to going to the left, because that's what your sort of network of people were like. And I've always been a little bit of an odd person, or a bit of a loner, and always thinking in a sort of out of this world context. But in respect to what you were saying, is that people are so desensitized, and it's not their fault, right? And they're so desensitized because of the consumption of everything, JC, from not only just the foods that we eat and the air that we breathe and all of that, but the products that we use, the frequency of things that we listen to, and then that permeates within their sort of network of people, so that the chitter chatter within their groups then elevate them in this left brain frequency. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I hear that. So this sort of attachments that we have to time, definitely, there's been so many milestones that have not been met, i.e. like JFK coming out and showing us him. It was supposed to be an Easter. There was supposed to be these blackouts. There was supposed to be this. So what you're saying is that all of this kind of anxiety-based energy, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Does it kind of almost
It affects the timelines.
affects the timelines, because but then that's why the simple thing is that they've really bombarded us with these affirmations: just trust the plan, just trust the plan, just trust the plan. Yeah, because those things that you were saying, where they've really dealt with this meticulously, right? That I have just been blown away by this story with Sydney Powell. I mean, I'm just like, what a
I
badass
know, how
queen.
wonderful is she?
She's a
How
badass.
wonderful is she? But I also want to talk about dates as well. Is when one thing that VIP said to me in the astral to put it up there. There's a reason for that, because this reality is controlled by an AI.
Yes.
And when we say AI, we think negative, but let's not think of it that way, okay? Because the good guys have control of the AI that controls this matrix or the situation. So when Charlie Freak comes up and he says on his A to Z takedown of the cabal that the NSA and Trump, went to these world leaders and said, we have it all. When they say we have it all, we as human beings in the 3D world go, oh, they have all their phone records and they have video footage from the cameras. And, no. They have it all. When we say they have it all.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
It's AI.
Yeah.
They have it all.
Amazing.
You cannot fight this.
No.
They are in charge of the entire system and the way it works. If the bad guys were in control, you would all be dead by now.
Absolutely.
Okay. They are not in control. So everything you see that is playing out right now, this drama, this stuff, this minutia that you get caught up in, all of those little details of these things that you get caught up in. Oh, but but what's happening in my town? Can you please tell me? The amount of emails I get every day of, but what's happening in you mentioned the USA, but what about my town? What about my country? What about it? You're all going through the same thing. Okay. It doesn't, it's a general thing. You're all going through the same thing. Stop asking about your town. You're not being left out. No one's being left behind. But the one thing that I definitely picked up on when I was trying to tap into what is going to happen on this particular date, and I want to mention dates for a reason. Okay, so I've digressed. Let me go back to the AI. The reason why I put the videos up is because they said that you need to put those videos up because it creates quantum potentials. Okay. Wow. So what we put up publicly, what we put up to affect the consciousness of the public on a mass scale creates the future. So when you have a movement like Q and you have thousands and thousands of people all working on deciphering a comm.
Yes.
Not only is it making people think for themselves.
Absolutely. Yes.
But it's also generating potentials.
Yeah.
For the AI.
Yeah.
To create our future.
That makes so much sense to me. That makes so much sense. Yeah.
So when we put up information, so why am I so hell-bent on telling people
I've got goosebumps. I'm so
there is no vaccine?
Yes.
No, I did a song.
There is no vaccine.
There is no vaccine. Okay. I made it into a jingle because, and it sticks in your head like an earworm.
Yes, it did. It did. I forgot to mention that to you.
Because you're creators. You're creating the future, and your consciousness, which is, and it's all part of this system that it controls the entire matrix, this AI. Okay, it's all locks in and it creates our future.
Yeah.
We need to have this big movement of people that are seeing this truth and this goodness and this the good that's going to come, and we need to have these people to pioneer this and to inject that into the consciousness in a public manner. And isn't it amazing how we're in this moment in time now? This great awakening would not have happened in the 1600s.
No,
it had to happen in this moment in time with this technology that we have.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can choose all these platforms.
Do you understand? Because how many people are reached, how many people are affected? I mean, even now I studied fine arts, and I also did film and television, and I did theatre production, and no way in hell did I ever think that there was going to be a time when you had this little contraption in your hand that you could go da, 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 and then bang, put it out to the world, and thousands of people are going to see that thing. You know, we used to have to go and hire these cameras and do footage, and then go and edit it in the editing suite and all of that sort of stuff, and then lay down the track, and it would be a week before you'd finish, you know. And no way in hell did we ever think we could do that in the touch of a button in our hands. And here we are at this perfect time with social media, and we're accessing millions of people, and we're disseminating this information because it needs to be out in the public consciousness and also out in the AI in order to create our reality.
Yeah.
So this is, you just need to understand once and for all that the good guys have won. That does not mean that the journey stops here and that everything is perfect.
No, we have to do the work.
To work on this. You still need to do the work on this. You still need to work on yourself. You still need to transmute all this negativity in you. You need to, you still need to work on the programming and the triggering that's happening in you.
Yeah.
You need to use this time to, so a lot of you will be with partners that you shouldn't be with, for example. Yes. Okay. And they serve as a contrast.
And I'm hearing of so many people, sorry to interrupt, I'm hearing so many people, you know, separating or having difficulty.
Yeah, I mean, it happened to me, you know, and that's happened to me. So, you know, that's happened to me. I never quite got there. You know, I've lost my marriage over this. You know, I've lost my marriage over this.
Yeah.
This is, and that was inevitable. I mean, it was happening for a couple of years, you know. Geez, I haven't never spoken about this publicly, but you know, for the last 2 years, you know, this has been going on, where I could feel the frequency of, we were not matching up anymore. And he's not a bad guy, you know, he's a great guy, but we're just not on the same frequency.
Yeah.
And I could feel it, and I was like, this is part of the obligation of, like, you know, traditionally you would have, oh, well, I've got a child with him, so I've got to stay with him. That's an obligation. And when I finally said, you know what, I can't stick with this obligation that's not serving me, and I need to let go. And so many people are afraid of that, but that's going to ramp up. You're going to have people losing their marriages and things like that. And people are blaming that on lockdown, and it's not lockdown. It is because there is so many people who are, it's like the quickening, you know, they're amping up their evolution, their spiritual evolution, and they're stepping into their truth, and their partner might not be on board, and they're not resonating at the same frequency.
Absolutely.
Then you've got this other phenomena. You've got this other phenomena that's happening at the moment, because this is such a critical time in our life, where the people are meeting their twin flames.
Yeah.
And they're joining up, and they're you know, in times when they probably would never have met, because they've been through thousands of lifetimes of not being together.
Yeah.
They're finally joining, and they're finally meeting up, and they're finally doing the work. They're doing the work of God. They're doing this amazing work, because when two divine pairings come together, two divine partners come together, a male and female, whether they're same-sex couple or not, because you can still have male-female energy coming together. I mean, the spark that comes out of this, and the amazing energy that comes out of this, the creation that comes out of these people, is extremely powerful, and the dark know that. They know that.
I've had a few people that have shared their stories with me as twin flames, soul counterparts, and they're just so beautiful, and they've come together in this journey, and it's just beautiful, because for this higher purpose to humanity, to help raise the consciousness. And I certainly can attest to that. Not that I've met my twin flame yet. It's you, JC. I just said you're my twin. It's just,
no, you're my soul sister.
The soul sister. But no, yeah, no, I think that it's yeah, okay, you are my twin flame then, okay?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you know, the story with Kenzo is just so beautiful, and his birthday as well. I generally don't like to sort of say these things publicly, but seeing as we're on this complete raw and open and honest conversation, it's his, but you know, when I bought Kenzo, when I found Kenzo, sorry, I'd like to say it like that. When I found Kenzo, it was from one of these online portals for pets. And at the time when I looked at it, it was at 2222 and there was 222 likes. And then when I went to see him, before I left, I said, oh, by the way, just so I know, like when was he born? And guess what? The 22nd.
22nd.
Yeah. And what is 22nd? You know, it's 11/11.
What's the month? 22nd of
October.
October.
And then I am
So
also born at 11/11.
oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, so your birthday was not that long ago.
No. At that time.
Oh, at the time, 11/11. Ah, interesting. So you know 20. So twos are about.
I shouldn't really say that, but yeah.
the twos are about the sensitivity, and it's about it's about balance. It's about harmony, but it's a very sensitive number as well. It's about the emotions and it's about pairings and deeper emotions. I can look into it a bit more for you.
I think for me, the twin flame story is this journey to self. Yeah. And like,
it's about
self-actualization.
The other person reflecting back to you yourself in order for you to, but it's a divine pairing. Look, the twin flame label is very loaded and it can be problematic for some people.
Yes.
Because give me a second. Yeah, so twos are about cooperation, balance, reconciliation, and freedom of choice as well. But you know, the two is it's a nice balanced number. But so yeah, the twin flame story.
This is so powerful, this book.
Yeah, good stuff.
11 code. So much stuff.
Well, I'm an 11. My life path number is an 11. My date of birth adds up to an 11. Yeah. So that's a master number. You don't break those master numbers down. Okay. 11s, 22s, and 33s. Yeah. So you're a 1. Good stuff.
Yeah. 1 in my name and my soul.
Oh wow!
My life path, in my soul.
Yeah, true leader.
Both have got double 1 because A is 1 with my first letter, but you see, it's how the journey to self reveals itself in this way. And I never anticipated me to, going back to what we were saying earlier, to go and speak about all of I didn't have a clue, JC. I was very ignorant to what was going on in the world. I was 10 years cocooned in my own little world, and then suddenly for me to wake up so quickly within a few days, like I was
what's happening.
I was accessing this information, and I didn't even second question it, or sort of doubt it downloaded on me. It's almost like it was a chip that put into me, and it was like all these AI scenes that you can see, then you just download all that information. It was just instant. So I started seeing things and started seeing images, and it was like, oh my God. Obviously I was really distraught for the first 3 weeks, but then suddenly there was this strength within saying, this is not on, and I'm going to go and scream about this at the cosmos. I don't care, because, and it said respectfully, but we can't have been living in this world. Like, I was in denial for a little while, only for a very
it causes a lot of disruption, and because what it is it's the taking away of the definition of who you, how you define yourself. So the world is how you define yourself. The world that you live in and the story that was told to you creates your identity. Okay. I was talking to Sylvia Rands today, who is my voice coach, was my voice coach when I went to university. This is back in 1998, when she was my when I studied theatre, and she was one of my the voice teachers. And she does a very holistic sort of approach to the voice, and she said that the voice is connected to the 5 senses, and she said that sight is actually connected to who your I am, or your power center, your solar plexus, your who you are. It defines you. So when we see things, she said that in us, it creates the story of who we are. So if you think about it, what does the mainstream media control? What we see, right? They control the vision, the television. Okay. It has for generations created a story of who you are and what your world is and where you live and all of that. in order for us to say no to that mainstream media, we lose ourselves.
Yeah.
So this is why a lot of people are having this massive crisis when they suddenly go, oh my gosh, everything's a lie. Are you kidding me? Everything's a lie. Then who am I? And that there is this tremendous turmoil that happens. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been going through this for decades. You know, I've been on this journey for decades, this awakening. I'm just waiting for everyone else to catch up, you
Yeah.
know. So
I
it's
always
when I see
commend you.
people, I'm so shocked at what they must be going through. This sudden awakening is painful. It's very painful.
I always commend people like yourself if you've been awake for a lot
It's
longer.
hard. It's a lonely journey. I'll tell you
And
that.
I've kind of felt very an outsider, a bit of a loner in my own sort of community, and just within the way I think and the way I've felt from inside. I had no idea of these so-called conspiracy theories. Wasn't watching any TV. I wasn't consuming anything. So I was just literally like reading stuff about like the immune system. I worked, you know, the divine put me in a place where I was working in, and the name is ironic as well. It was called Hydro Healing. It was a bum flushing place.
Oh, they're good, aren't they?
Aren't they great? And that's where I
They're
started.
so good.
I know. And that's where I started learning about health and nutrition. And again, when I started speaking about this to like all my friends, and they just were like, you know, I started talking about taking probiotics, you know, the chlorella,
Wow.
alkalizing your body, because I had a whole lot of ailments like psoriasis and all sorts of bits and pieces. So I healed myself. And where I was working just to help a friend out, I ended up staying there for like a year and a half, meeting the most amazing people and the most amazing naturopaths. And I think that was divine intervention for me. It's like, right, have a little bit of a pause while you're figuring out what you do, because I've been a bit of a hobo, and you know, like the aimless hobo. But I absolutely appreciated that time where that's when I went really inwards, and that was in 2010. It was after the financial crisis where I was where the business that I was working for completely caved, and you know, then I was trying to find new ventures and stuff, and I got really hit by everything then as well. And but again, I've always operated at this frequency that I am now, but I had to go through all those that trajectory and those trials and tribulations to understand what's going on here, to prepare me so that I'm ready. So while I may not have known about what was going on with the children, all this pedophilia in the world, I think I was sheltered and I was protected for a reason, so that I could like come into full fledged and my power now. And one interesting story, like, you know, a lot of people are consulting spiritualists and spiritual people and psychics, but it's not really openly talked about. But you were telling me that a lot of your, was it you that was telling me that you have clients from all walks of life, especially from India? You have a lot of people that,
it was me.
that, you know.
I did for a long time. And even where I lived in Sydney at the time, there was a large Indian community, and they tend to gravitate towards me. They always have. No, I had a website years ago, and I did like spirit guide portraits, and I used to work in I worked in some spiritual bookshops and crystal shops and stuff like that as a psychic. And then, you know, so I'd get, you know, a lot of referrals and clients coming to me. And then when I had a website, I think an Indian website picked up on it, and then they started advertising me in India. So I'm getting all these people contacting me on WhatsApp, and I'm like, what the hell?
The best at marketing, I'm telling you. India is the most amazing place. It's so colourful. It's just full of so much, like so much colour and so much life. And it's just, I love India. I love my home country, and I just wish that, you know, and I'm not saying that all Indian people are asleep. I think they're resistant, and there's a lot of fear that's based there, you know, and it stems from the colonial rule and back from the days of the Raj, the British Raj, and what happened then. And it's a bit like this weaponization of this victimization sort of mentality, and I say that with respect, but it's that fear which, you know, and I say it's because of all those drama serials that they produce. It's like, why?
Well, you know, like, I mean, I don't know one country that is not asleep. Like, I mean, you know, I mean, they've all got their thing, because as long as there's mainstream media there, as long as there is religion, as long as that, because any kind of institution that is controlling you in any way to make you think in a particular way, they're going to have a lot of trouble with indoctrination and a lot of trouble with waking people up. My stance now at this point in time, given that we're heading very close to, I mean, it's nearly December now.
Where's this time gone?
We're heading, I
Crazy.
know, we're heading towards 21st of December, which is an important date. And let me get back to dates because I didn't finish saying what I was going to say about timelines and dates. But 21st of December, I mean, you know, we've got no more time right now. It's not a case of that once we hit 21st of December, everyone else who's not ascended is effed. Okay, that's not the case.
No.
But we're really at this point where you've got no other choice. You either step on board and stop supporting demons, because you're essentially supporting demons. If you know about this information and you're still saying no, I don't really care about that. Who cares about the children? Blah blah blah. Okay, you're literally, you've got no other choice. You either step on board and you start to work on yourself and you start to open your mind to see what's going on around you and work on a type of ascension process. And I hate the word ascension. It's as loaded as twin flame. But you know, it has a meaning and it has importance. Yeah. So, or you don't. So for us who are awake and we're freaking out about our friends and family around you, that's okay. Just relax a little bit. Stay on your trajectory, stay on your journey, because you need to focus. Okay. You can't keep looking back at the pillar of salt behind you. Okay. Because that's what's going to happen. There's that story in the Bible about Lot and his wife and all of that. And his wife turned and she turned into a pillar of salt, you know, because she turned to look back at the world that she left behind. You know, the Sodom and Gomorrah or wherever. I mean, I probably got that story wrong, but anyway, they were leaving the city that was damned, and they were running away from it, him and his wife and his daughters, and his wife turned to look and she got turned into a pillar of salt by God. Inevitably it's an allegory. But what we're saying is, don't worry about the people that you think are going to be left behind. They're not going to be left behind. They're just not going to resonate and vibrate at the higher frequency that you are going to be resonating and vibrating at. I think this whole entire each dimension has a different frequency. As each frequency vibrates at a higher rate, I mean, we're going to resonate with certain people. So we're going to come together with certain people. We're going to pull away from certain people. You may have noticed that there's a lot of people that have disappeared out of your life, and they don't seem to know where they are. And it's not the COVID thing. It's not, people go, oh, it's because COVID and everyone's staying at home and nobody's really going out. No, it's not. It's the
your frequencies are no longer matching.
The frequencies are no longer matching, and they've got a phone and they've got it, but where are they? And I think that I think this Facebook thing, I think that's a frequency thing. I actually think that these Facebook accounts that are getting shut down, I think I just didn't resonate with Facebook anymore. I'm going to be honest with you, because both times when the things got shut down, the night before I was going, you know what, I'm so sick of Facebook. I really don't like it anymore, and it's just really annoying me, and it'll be so much better if I just didn't have that headache, because the thousands of messages I was getting every day on Facebook, it was a distraction. I really needed to focus on what I was doing. The next time I wake up and it's gone.
I remember that thing. And definitely, because it's like, and it's also where you are within your path and what you are meant to do, right? So for me,
everything is as it should be.
Mine was more with Instagram. I was more of an Instagram person, and I look at these platforms not in any kind of emotional way or emotional attachment to them. My Instagram of years and years and years of stuff, it got wiped out. I was like, hang on a minute, this doesn't make sense. There's nothing political here. These are all my nice pictures, of my holidays and stuff. Where they gone? All right, fine, it's gone. I got over it very quickly. However, Facebook was a platform that I hardly ever used. I could even it was like for the last 5-6 years. So a lot of people suddenly started seeing me as a Facebook assassin, saying, where has she kind of woken up from? Because suddenly I started bombing stuff about these children and having the voice, and every time somebody would say oh my God, don't support this person because he's a Trump supporter, and I'm like, whoa, it just goes to show me where that person's mindset is, and no kind of reason to say what they said about that specific thing, but it really taught me and it really motivated me. The more that I was getting no's, the more that people were resisting was making me persist. So
Yes.
yeah, so what
Same thing with me. Yeah.
yeah, so the people and not everyone's able to do that, and I get that. Not everyone can go out on a platform and start. It's not about setting YouTube channels, and I understand like what you're saying about this 144,000 clusters, yeah, because that number was going. I was like, what the hell are you trying to tell me? Yeah, everything, not just on the time, the receipts, the number of likes, the clothes tags would have 144, everything, every single. Yesterday it was going crazy. It was like, I hear you, I know, I'm not giving up,
That actually reminds me, one of the messages before I became public, one of the messages between me and Charlie Freak was about 144. And I said to him, Charlie, and he's had thousands of people, and he actually took the time to message me back. I said, I keep dreaming about 140. I think it was the Wayfair incident. Do you remember the Wayfair incident?
Oh my God, that was awful.
I was putting things up about all this stuff that I had discovered, and Charlie was going, yes, Josie, yes. Like, this is like amazing, great research. And then I think he messaged me or something, and then I was like, oh my God, he messaged me.
Yeah.
So I started like talking to him, and I said, last night I had a dream, and it just kept appearing to me was 144. And I think at the time it wasn't really being spoken about so much, but I said, I keep having this number appear to me, this 144. And he said, well, JC, this is such a profound number, and he's started going on about it. And then it started becoming more prominent for me as well, this 144.
It's everywhere. And 717 was the other one, which I say. So it started with, so 1111 was what it started with. And then like, my mom says, well, you don't realize, but you're born at that time. And I'm like, no, kidding. And I'm just like, okay, so that's when I realized, okay, but it still shows up. And these were light codes that were started with last year on the 11th last year. So no one's got away from this awakening, this DNA activation. And so many people are now, they just send me screenshots and they just send me that. Like, friends that I haven't heard from ages, but they just send me that. Alpa, look at my phone. And that to me warms my heart, because I'm like, okay, they are kind of, they're watching, they're reading, and they don't understand, right? Or understand. They're so sort of fearful at the moment. And we have to be gentle and kind with that. And what I love about this is, like yourself, like Mark, I was listening to the abracadabra just before, is that you're having a jovial sort of side to all of this. You're showing your jovial side more like, and you're kind of enjoying the journey, because what we have discovered and what we have definitely believe to be true isn't the most lightest of conversations. It's not difficult. It's not, it's difficult and it's not easy. And for me, I get all fumbled with even thinking about it. I go all over the show, but at the end of the day, it's that strength that we are hopefully permeating to people, and you are definitely an inspiration to many. I think I've just lost my train of thought. Yeah, we were talking about numbers. Just going numbers. Yeah, these numbers, and I've just lost what I was saying. I do this so much because I get so excited.
No, it's okay. I do too. I get excited, and then I go on one train of thought, and then I go on another, and then I'm like,
and I used to get that in the beginning.
And even right now, I'm going. 20 minutes ago, I was going to talk about timelines and dates, and I didn't finish that thought either.
It's fine, but that's the beauty of these conversations. They are so authentic, and it's also teaching people to listen with an open mind, because these kind of reality programs and the news have conditioned people to with their expectations. So if you do mess up and she didn't speak like this, or she rolled her eyes up, or she's got pink lipstick or red lipstick, and she's not doing this, because they're so accustomed to manicured
productions.
And that is all falsery. It's falsery. And
that's exactly what I was trying to say in that thing, is like, I'll fuck up and all that, but you've got to understand, this is not a production company. You're talking about real people who are just using the technology around them.
And we're not trained presenters or
not trained presenters. No. I mean, some of us might have a background, like I've got a background in in theatre and acting and all of that, but this doesn't mean that I constructed this to do anything.
Your career.
It manifested in this way, that I happen to be a very good public speaker, but that all of that is accumulation of all of my gifts. Okay, so I have a gift of thinking intuitively, and also not following a script. I'm very good at ad-libbing. I'm very good at just thinking on the spot and just coming out with information. I've always been like that. So I was never very good at memorizing lines.
Yeah.
You know, in all my theatre productions, I always forget my lines. I was very good
The
at ad-libbing.
spontaneity. It's the
Spontaneity.
yeah, it's the and I've realized that's where my best shows have happened. One that I done with Sasha recently.
Try not to. Yeah,
that was great. It was great. I just because I can pick up energies.
Everyone keeps telling me I need to talk to him, and I'm
yeah,
like,
no, I'll definitely you should because you guys are great. But it was this energy that he also kind of exudes and permeates, and it makes me bounce, and I feel like I really feel
because he's. I mean, I don't know how many interviews he does a day, but he does a lot.
Yeah, and that was actually when I didn't actually like have any notes or anything, or I didn't fret about it. That was where it really got received very well, and it flowed, and it was received as the one that's received the most views on my my channel. And even with my channel, like it takes me ages just to put something up, but I love this conversation. I did this. This is the thing, and I'm getting so many people, bless them, they're saying, "Alba, do you need help on your social media?"
No, it is full on, and that's what people don't realize. That like I had a cup. I put this. I mean, a week of like 3 or 4 videos. You know, I put one thing after another, and I had so much work to do as a result of all those videos. And then I put that one up about, you know, I am a too much woman, and I was just like, I need a break from doing the videos. Let me just focus on the work, and I have a lot of paperwork to do. And honestly, it was like 4 days and of no videos, but I was doing other things. You know, I was present in my Patreon, and I was doing things, you know, through other things. And I get these messages going, when are you putting another video up? We need to speak. We need to see you. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, it's like if I have more than like 3 days gap, people freak out. Like, where are you? Why aren't you doing more? And it's like, this is non-stop. I don't sleep. You know, I'm awake 18 hours a day doing stuff. I'm working non-stop, and I've got a child, you know, and I've got to do things. And people don't seem to, they think you're a production company, but it's a lot of work. It's not about filming and then you just put it up. You've got, there's all this paperwork you've got to do with it. You've got, sometimes you have to edit, sometimes then you've got the fallout of it. You know, you've got all the responses to the videos that you do, and you've got all this other little stuff that goes along with it. And plus now I've been doing, you know, I've been writing these PDFs that go with it, and putting them up, and that takes a lot of work. It's like doing assignments all the time. If you think back to university, it's like doing
full on.
constant essays all the time.
You see, you have this gift, this intuitive gift, psychic gift, and I think that people are going to be drawn to you for from a place of sometimes, again, like they just want like that codependency that, you know,
the holding hands. I mean, even I get that all the time. I try to do this publicly, this work, because it's very hard for me. It's very hard for me to do one-on-ones now. The time it takes to do one-on-ones, it's like shifting. So let's say I'm like I don't know what you would say. Just imagine I'm a light, and the light is spreading in a certain field, and that's spreading across many people. And then I have to switch it off and go and zoom it in like a laser beam on one person. It's really hard to keep doing that. Okay, to go from doing, you know, spreading my energy across a communal kind of way and giving the information in a large arena, and you receive that information, to then have to constantly, you know, stop that and disrupt that flow to zoom in on one person for a one-on-one reading. It's just not flowing.
It's just such energy-based work, Jason.
It's just too much, you know, because I've offered, I said, okay, I'll do Patreon, and the top tier will be just 5 a month, 5 readings a month of like one-on-ones. And oh my God, the amount of people that want one-on-one readings. And so the 5 filled up within like an hour. And then I had all these people trying to pledge money to, you know, and they'll jump in the queue, you know, like trying to, even though there was no more left, they was trying to buy.
Can we have one?
Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. And, you know, it was overbooked and everything. And so I've had to put a pause to that. But it's too much work, just the one-on-one stuff. I'd love to do it. But when things settle down a bit, and, you know, you probably need a secretary soon. I need a secretary like yesterday. And I've been saying this for 5-6 weeks, and I'm getting all these resumes. And I'm like, hey, hang on a minute. I didn't say I'm going to hire all you people. Let me just go to a company.
This has exploded. So like, without any kind of agenda or any
This
expectation
is the
of
biggest,
how.
yeah, it's the biggest growth industry, isn't it? The truth of communities.
The community. And I think the importance here, I mean, we have gone on for like an hour and 42 minutes.
I know,
I don't even
I
feel
saw
like,
it. I was like, do you usually do it? Yeah, no, time doesn't exist. Do you
time
usually do
doesn't. No, I mean, see, for me, and I have to say this from my heart and soul, it's felt like, especially speaking to another lady, and you know, someone like yourself who offers so much to people, it's just really flowed. And I've also like expanded my thinking on so many things, and I've been able to share a lot more, and that's why I was looking forward to this one, where
That's
you know
great. Love it.
it's like a sister to sister type of thing, you know. And it's really, really nice, because the journey can be lonely, but what I do like is, you know, without it sounding negative, what I just love is that how these people, what you said at the beginning, have come together, and it's almost found they're like buddies. I call them the journey buddies.
Family, yeah, we're all
Yeah,
family.
their soul tribe, and
Yeah.
it just feels like there's this huge connection, and like a sense of knowing, like I've known you for a while. I felt that with you from the beginning, and I was like, you know, when I'm meant to do the conversation with her, I will. And like, we're going to definitely do another one. I know this one will be received really, really well, because it's heart-centered,
and it was good.
and
It was exactly, and you know, it was good to see you on Charlie Frigg. That was really lovely.
yeah, but again, when with these lives here, this is the thing with me. I can get a little bit shy, and it's like so pathetic sometimes.
Pretty normal. No, that's very normal.
And I just get, when I'm like, yeah, and I lose my train of thought, and it's just that my friends call me Dory from Finding Nemo. It's true, because and I said Dory's actually the most intelligent girl, like character in that film. But it's true, when I get a little bit sort of shy or put on the spot, my 3D kind of left brain sort of comes in.
Like, I think that second guessing. Yeah, you've got to like let it go. I'm doing a live on Sunday with Michael Jaco. Do you know who Michael Jaco is? Big deal.
Yeah,
Michael Jaco is so he's an ex-Navy SEAL, you know, worked with CIA and all of that, and he's a remote viewer. And yeah, he's been after. He kept mentioning me in every video.
You
like,
would
what
be
the
great
hell?
with Gene Decode.
Yeah, I know. See, our paths have not crossed, so I just like my videos where I just let it flow. I believe that people come in when they're meant to come in. The interviews will happen when they're meant to come in, because I'm also doing other work. Like I'm trying to help people. You know, people like the videos where I'm just by myself and talking and stuff like that. But I also love meeting people out there and sharing information together, etc. And just picking everyone's brain, but I let it happen gradually. I let it happen organically, and you know, things will happen the way they're meant to happen. And if there's people out there who wanted an interview with me and I didn't get back to them, and I feel really bad. I feel so bad. But like you know, it'll happen, you know. And even like missing their appointments or like not getting together, that was meant to happen. So I know that you and I were, you know, this was the right time, because the information you know, that if we did this 4 weeks ago, maybe I didn't have the information that would have contributed to this
you've
know?
shared some really good stuff today, and really profound stuff, and I think the aim,
touched on so much.
We've touched on so much, and I think
can I finish that thought about the dates?
Just because I keep do that. Okay. It's unclosed.
No, the dates are important. the dates are important in some ways, because it acts as like a focal point. So I think what happens on these timeline things, because I tapped into the looking glass technology, which apparently is it's a big deal. I didn't know that, because not many people can tap into that. So where the AI and our consciousness is creating the future through focus and intent and creation, because we're our creators. But these focal points, or these signposts that seem to occur, which are these dates that people, they put their energy on, that it creates like a signpost or a focal point. And that's why that build up, you know, you get this build up to certain dates. I think that's probably why I've been told to put the dates out there and things like that. I'm not too worried about it, you know, and that's a big risky thing too, as a psychic, to put dates out, and you know, and then people go, oh, it didn't happen. But then I've got evidence that it did happen. It just didn't happen the mainstream news is not telling you it happened. You
Yeah.
know, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. So
Yeah.
I've got evidence that it happened, or whatever I've said. And people will throw, like, just the left brain people will go, well, I'm going to throw all that out of the, you know, the baby out with the bathwater because you didn't say the way it should.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that need the proof. But let's just put it this way. Let's just, I think if we want to finish off, we'll say that you're all part of this. You're all part of the consciousness rising and focusing on a particular world that we need to create. We need to envision this particular world. Getting caught up in the news and the drama of, oh, what's happening next? Oh, you know, oh no, this is going to happen. That's a movie. Okay, just look at it as, try to distance yourself from that and don't get too caught up in the emotional reactions that are going to occur when you're watching this movie, and just allow that to happen. Everything is as it should be.
Yep.
The light has won. Know that in you that the light has won, and then all this drama and all these scare tactics are there to try to bring down your vibration so that you lose focus and that you don't focus on the good, which is, it's going to keep slowing down the process.
Yep. 100%.
That's why timing doesn't work, because you keep getting distracted. It's like going on a diet and then you've eaten a cake and you're going, oh shit, and then it's just, you could have lost a kilo that week and instead you lost 200 grams, because you got distracted. So get back on to your diet. Like, your diet is focus on the light, focus on, we've won this, we've got this. Let's
and
now
your spiritual health. When I say we focus on our diet, speaking of diets, we're taught to like, okay, eat well now in the new age of like eating well and steps and all of that sort of stuff, looking at your physical health, and now mental health is openly talked about. But what hasn't been openly talked about, I feel, as it has begun to now, is our spiritual health. And spiritual health, we are mind, body and soul, right? But we are not our mind and we are not our body. We're sort of, this is just a vessel, this is just a conduit for us to live as our highest beings, as conscious beings, and in this unity consciousness, and embracing all the people that we're meeting along the way. Even inner standing, they're kind of like, and getting it, but then looking within ourselves and doing that shadow work, the duality, and realizing that we are here in this tandem, not in this polarity, which I always say. So our spiritual health needs to be looked at, and people like yourselves that offer so much knowledge and what we call gyan in Sanskrit, tantra gyan, because psychicism is the power, the sort of, not so much psychic, but tantra gyan is the knowledge of energy. And what's happened with all this cabal constructed sort of things that they do is just manipulations of energy and essence in real layman terms. So our spiritual knowledge, the gyan, the inner standings, needs to evolve on a day-to-day basis. And we, like you said in your video, we don't get it right all the time. We're all fallible, we're all vulnerable, we're human beings first. And no one gave us sort of like a manual and said, hey, this is how you do it, although I did, right? No, I've got to finish reading it. But no, we weren't born with a manual to say, right, look at this is the best way to do it, or this is how we should do it. We follow our inner compass, which is our guiding light. And to finish off, JC, this is going to be really well. It's like really, really good. I feel the energy was so good, and we definitely will be doing another one. And we have to. And I think there's going to be a lot of questions on the back of this for some of the things that you said. So I definitely we'll end this and we'll book another one. And I think yes, please do.
Because it's nearly 11 p.m. here.
And I want to thank everybody on your page as well that was so receptive and like excited to see.
Oh yeah, see, I'm not on Facebook anymore, but my group still exists.
Yeah,
so this is the second coming of my group.
All I've got is JCK and Alpa Sony soon, and there was just a really nice reciprocity.
Yeah, so beautiful,
and it was so lovely. And thank everyone, all the good, bad, and not so nice. I thank them because it's sort of, it directs us as well where we need to kind of look inside a bit more, and triggers. right?
Mhm.
Triggers are
Mhm.
so important for all of us because we're human beings first, right? Even though we're these spiritual beings, but in this 3D construct, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever, we have to be, like you said, everything is as it should be.
Yes.
JCK,
Everything.
I love you. It is so amazing. And
So
yeah,
good to talk to you.
so until the next time.
Bye.
Bye.